Like, my life had just ended. And I cry. I literally cry. Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about how I found out that I had type 1 diabetes. 14 years, October 7th, 2009. I was going to the hospital for a pre-op for an operation that I was going to have. So I want to rewind a week earlier to 7 days before the October 7th. I was sat with my family and we were all talking, and my mum and dad had not long found out that they were type 2 diabetic. One night we were all just sat around as a family talking and laughing and joking, and my mum said to me, my brother and my sister, "Shall I check your sugar levels to see what they are?" My sister and brother are absolutely fine. Then we got to me, and I was 30.6. Those of you who don't know, they should be between 4 and 7, ideally, but mine were 30.6. But I just put it down to I had had a lot of junk food that day because I was working. So throughout this whole week, I thought, right, I'm going to eat a bit healthier. This is not a good thing to happen. And fast forwards then a week to my pre-op. Now I do everything they do. They do a urine sample. I go in, they take my urine sample off me, and then they go and do whatever they need to do to it. Now, about 5 minutes after, a lady, I assume was a nurse, said a nurse walked back into the room and she was like, "Michael, are you diabetic?" I mean, my mother looked at each other and I was like, "No, I don't think so." And she was like, "Right, okay." And then she said something to the doctor and he was like, "Right, I need you to go and have a blood test." I was like, "Okay." We were like, "All right, then that's fine." We were talking about me possibly having diabetes. On tablets, that's fine, but I can't be doing injections. Can't do it. I go back in, they send me down to the blood test place. I pick out my ticket for my blood test and it was 53. I look up at the county number thingy and they were in just the 30s. Next thing I know, my actual name is called, not the number, my name. So I'm like, okay, that's a bit weird, but okay, but at least I ain't going to be waiting hours. I went in, had my blood tests, and then they sent me back to the clinic where I was before. We get back to that clinic, there was a lady waiting for me in the corridor. She said, "Are you Michael?" I'm like, "Yeah, come in." And they took me into the room. She starts talking to me about diabetes and the two different types, the type 1 diabetes, the type 2 diabetes. And then she says, "You have type 1. I forgot to add some very crucial information into that video, so he's editing me and I will tell you about them now. So when I was in the room with the nurse that was diagnosing me with type 1 diabetes, asked me about symptoms and whether I had increased thirst, unexplained weight loss, where you could clearly see that I lost weight, but to me I was working out a lot, so I thought it was great, but everybody else noticed before I did. But anyway, I had the increased thirst, I had the increased appetite, I had the blurry vision for a little bit because as your sugar levels get high, your eyes change to accommodate that. And I was sleeping a hell of a lot. And there are many symptoms of type 1 diabetes before you actually know. The main ones are increased thirst, sleeping a lot, and unexplained weight loss, and frequent urination. Please go and get yourself checked because it will never hurt just to get checked and be on the safe side. And I was like, okay, deal with it. So I was like, so what does that mean then? And then she was like, you have to do insulin injections. Now, the only way I could describe this moment, the standards, duff, 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 duff moment, and it was like, no. And all I can remember is looking down, eyes filling up with tears. Like, my life had just ended. And I cry. I literally cry. And then my mum starts crying. Next thing I know, I'm getting up and I'm going to sit outside for a cigarette because like I said, my life had just ended to me. In my head, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. My mum calls my manager who comes to the hospital to see me because I was supposed to be in work that day. It was horrid. Like, I didn't even talk to her when she got there. And I think I sat outside for about 20, 30 minutes. I can't really remember much after they telling me. I remember going back in and I was in a room with my mom and me, and there was three, I assume a doctor and two nurses, and they give me my insulin pen, they give me the Nova Rapid, and with a needle, and they're like, but you need to screw that on. They're like, just screw it on one step at a time, just screw the cap on. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I had to take the cap off, and I'm here holding this insulin, and they were like, you need to inject it. And I was like, I can't do this. And they were like, if you don't do it now, then you don't go home today. You have to stay with us. And I was like, what do you mean I have to stay? They're like, we'll have to admit you into hospital. No chance. No chance. So I did the insulin injection. They sent me with a prescription. They give me the amounts that I need to be taking. I think that's how they start everybody off. I did it. We went to the prescription. You're diabetic now. Here's your insulin. Off you go. And then over the next few weeks, I was in talks with the nurse about where my sugar levels were at. I decided, right, I'm going to go and treat myself. And like I said, I can't remember much about the day after it, so I think I was just in shock. Like I was just literally in shock. And all I can remember was waking up the next day, not believing it. I'd spent all my savings on nothing. Like all my money was gone. I had cut all my hair off. I had quite long black hair back then, and I cut all that off. And I can remember texting my friend, could you come to my house tonight? No, didn't even know. I didn't even tell him that this was what had happened. No hesitation, he come to my house that night. And my mum told him about what had happened that day. He was so good. Like I think that night is when I had what my sugar levels obviously come right back down, but sort of, but I felt like I was going to die. Like the low was awful. Like it was really bad. 15 years later, well, 15 years this October, here I am. I'm quite happy. I am in a little bit of diabetic burnout at the moment, but that's a different video that I'll be talking about. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you made it to the end. If you do, and you're type 1 diabetic, let me know like the date and how long you've been diabetic for. I think that would be not fun, but it would be nice to see how long people have been living with this horrible, horrible, horrible illness, disease, whatever you want to call it. But well, thank you very much.